Hey, hi, hello, friends. And I'm back after a very short delay. Hi, guys. I am back, and today we're going to be talking about a condensed. Why can't I talk? Why can't I talk? A condensed version of a lot of Chantel's videos. So the videos that I'm talking about in particular are BBJ Goes to the Vet, Someone Bought Me Flowers, In 3 Months We Will See, Eating Poutine, and Feelings. So those are the 4 videos. This is not my original work, by the way. I'm not like the one compiling all these videos. You guys know I rely very heavily on archiving channels. You guys know this is not my original work. A lot of these videos are from like compilation channels, from archiving channels. I use Just Saying the most, I think. She tends to be very frequent in uploading, but this video I think is from Barbecue Chicken, who did all of them, including one of the other ones, My Motives Don't Matter, but I've covered that separately for patrons. And so I wanted to talk about the rest of the videos. I've condensed it down a lot. I think our original video was like 28 minutes or something like that. And my sort of cut down of it is significantly shorter. It's only like 5 minutes. But I still wanted to talk to you guys about it. I wanted to express some of my thoughts, opinions, and feelings, as it were. And I don't really have very much to say. I don't get used to the frequent uploads is really the only thing. And if you see me itching, I've had an allergic reaction to cream I was using. So my palms are really red because they're still pretty like swollen and very itchy. And I have like, they had the most amount of cream because I was putting it on my body. And the rest of my body still has like some red bumps and whatnot, even after the Benadryl. So if you see me itching, that's why. I'll try not to on camera because it's unsettling and no one likes seeing it. But you know, your girl has an allergic reaction. I have sensitive skin, okay? It hates me. It hates everything. I can't do anything. This was Partner's Cream, and I ran out of cream, and I just needed something, okay? Okay, let's get into it.
I'm being harassed a lot, and I know people are going to do that because they want drama. They want me to talk about this case. They want me to go on about it. So I'm just going to say, I'm just going to block you. Like, especially on, like, Instagram. People saying things like, we are putting together a case of all of the stuff you've done online. And I just want you to know that you're actually going to make things worse. Like, I'm not talking about this at all, but I want you to know, no matter what I've done online, no matter how many times I've farted, no matter how many times I've smoked weed or taken edibles or admitted to doing cocaine, doesn't excuse that he fucking hit me. Even if he only did it once, he hit me. Where am I looking at? The camera. So me smoking weed does not excuse that. No matter what you put together in my live streams, I have nothing to hide. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of you, and I'm not afraid of your harem. And I'm going to pursue this to the full extent of the law. And if I lose, I lose, but I'm gonna fight.
She's not wrong here, right? Absolutely. Nothing gives people the excuse to belittle her experiences, because I do think that he has been abusive towards her. She's been pretty consistent with her story, and I don't know. He gives off the vibe to me that he is the kind of person who would do this, and he has a history of violence against women. So I fully believe that he has hit her. The problem with her saying this is, first of all, when you acknowledge people who are behaving like this on the internet, you give them a lot more strength and energy, especially because of the amount of vitriol that she puts out into the universe. People are going to return that to her tenfold. Chantel is not a very likable person, and honestly, she's really kind of a bad person a lot of the time. So people are very much invested in the idea of taking her down a peg. This is not the right place or the right time. I fully believe that. But I also believe that you need to be smart about the way in which you portray yourself and how you go about defending yourself on the internet, because she lives her life online. And unfortunately, she is now in the position that she has to rely on all of these live streams, on what people are saying about her online to make her case. And she is not very well liked. And she is not good at researching things, and she doesn't keep track of what she says when, because a lot of the time she's very, very, very high. And the channels out there that are compiling videos, that are making compilations of her saying things and doing things, have an inherent bias of not liking her. And she's not really making it easier. These are people who collectively have significantly more time than she does on her hands, and honestly have a lot more capabilities than she has on her hands. All that leads to is this: don't egg them on, and you have a lot of shit out there that is going to end up making you look very bad. I mean this, genuinely very, very bad. Chantel might not be able to be held accountable for a lot of the stuff that she does, vis-a-vis her like doing drugs or her admitting to using cocaine. But you know what she can be held accountable for? When she shows up at Natter's house and sits outside his house and calls him 50 times and eggs on her audience to call the police. That's the problem. It's not just a matter of him not liking her and like of like people talking about her poorly on the internet and making a compilation of her farting. She crosses some serious boundaries that can be legally categorized as harassment and stalking. And if someone can put together a clip show of all of the times where she's done this, they are handing Natter evidence. And beyond that, there's also evidence of her saying stuff like, oh, you know, trust me, I'm not as dumb as you guys think I am. You know, I have a plan. I'm going to be the one who gets the last laugh. Oh, you're going to talk to the police? I'm going to talk to the police first. You know, all of those things. Even that unhinged video of her going to the police station where she's like, I'm going to report you to the cops. That makes you look terrible. It makes you look like the kind of vindictive person who would, in fact, go and make a false report about someone. And when it comes down to a he said, she said situation, all that really matters is how credible the he and she in that particular case are. He's taken a major hit by already having a history of violence against women. Absolutely. But Chantel has zero credibility. Anyone who looks on the internet will know. And unfortunately, he has spent enough time on the internet that he knows that there are people out there who will provide him this stuff for free. The farms in particular are a veritable source of infinite knowledge about all of the wrongdoing that Chantel's had. And there's people on there who will devote time, energy, and effort, and people on YouTube, quite frankly, who will devote time, energy, and effort to make Chantel look bad, to make sure that she loses this case. And not even because they like Natter, because they hate her that much. So, no, you should be afraid, unfortunately. You should be afraid of the consequences that your online behavior can have on an actual case. Because unfortunately, a lot of your proof is also online, right? She's saying, she's like, oh, well, you know, every time I've talked negatively about him, I've come on here and I've told you guys. Well, yeah, but there's also a ton of evidence of you backtracking, of you deflecting, of you lying for him. And the problem with lying is that you can say, well, I lied about that, but then you've admitted to being a liar. And then everything else that you have to say comes into question. We don't know what we can believe. And for all that, some of us are very involved. Like I myself watch a lot of Chantel. And so I kind of know the kind of person that she is. And I feel like I've got a good handle on what she says that's true and real and what's not. But somebody, especially a judge, is not going to rely on what they know of Chantel from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of video. They're only going to be able to talk about and rely on the few minutes, the few seconds, the few hours of trial that's going to be there available to them. And it's going to paint Chantel in a negative light. And more importantly, if Natter is in any way intelligent, he is going to file a countersuit. He is going to file for a restraining order against her. And if that restraining order is granted, that means a judge takes a look at all of the evidence presented that Chantel's obsessed with him, that she stalks him, and they grant his restraining order. Chantel is screwed. She is fucked more than a whore in a whorehouse. I genuinely mean this. She will be in so much trouble. Because any judge worth his salt is going to take a look at both of their records. He's going to say, this woman has hours and hours and hours on the internet of stalking, harassing, belittling, and essentially threatening this guy talking about how she has some ultimate plan. And the day he says he's going to go file a restraining order, she goes to the police and reports him for violence against her first. How well do you think that's going to look? For all that, your motivations shouldn't matter, and that if he's guilty, he should be held guilty. People cannot determine that by just looking at you. There is no such thing as a truth serum. They're going to be relying on the entire body of evidence, and unfortunately, your body is riddled with disease, both figuratively and literally.
And that's all I have to say. So you can all try to intimidate me all you want, but you're just going to piss me off, and I'm just going to fight harder. So that's it. Goodbye. They can't arrest you for things you previously did.
I mean, two things on this. One, they absolutely can't arrest you for things that you've done in the past. That's why the statute of limitations exists. But more importantly, this idea that she's like, well, you know, you guys talking about this, it just makes me want to fight harder. It worries me that if she loses this case, she might still go ahead and try and pursue this in less than legal ways. And she's already given a lot of indication of maybe not being as mentally stable as she should be. So it concerns me to hear her say things like that a little bit. I really hope he does get the justice that he deserves, because I do think he's a scumbag. But I also worry that if he doesn't get what's coming to him, Chantal is going to take matters into her own hand, and she is not competent enough to get away with committing an illegal act.
Exactly. This is not a case against me. That's what they don't realize. This is not going to be me and him going to Judge Judy and being like, well, she did this and she did this about me online. In that case, he would have to go to civil court, take me to civil court.
No. In a he said, she said situation, it's your word against his. So he might be the one who's currently on trial, and the burden of evidence is on you to prove that he did something. It's actually worse, because if he was accusing you, he would have to prove that you're a bad person, that you've done X, Y, and Z to him. But you have to prove what he has done to you. Well, technically, I guess the lawyers and the police officers do. But you have to convince them. And you don't have enough evidence. And unfortunately, they have much, much more credible evidence, much more abundant evidence of you stalking him. Because any evidence that they might have had, you've dismissed and lied about. And it's made the water so incredibly muddy that no one can see the bottom of the riverbank anymore. You're screwed in that regard. The vast majority of the stuff that you have online, Chantal, is absolute and utter garbage. What they do have, however, is the police that was called to your house and the police that was called to Natter's house. You saying, oh, I didn't really do anything, and supposedly you reported. I really hope that she did. But if she didn't, which is highly likely, then there's nothing. There's police being called to your house and you saying everything is fine, and then police being called to his house and him saying there's a crazy lady sitting outside of my house stalking me. Who do you think that's going to make look better here? And once more, if he goes ahead and he files a restraining order against you, all of that becomes evidence. You are on trial right now, Chantal. Your credibility is on trial, because when you make an accusation like this, that's the measuring, that's like the ruler. That's the measuring spoon they use against it. That's how they measure against whether or not what you're saying is useful. That's why they have character witnesses come up. You don't even have any of that. He might have Dee Dee. He has friends, it seems like. Who are you going to call? Your family who isn't talking to you? Shannon, who you've alienated? Raina, who you haven't seen in months? Roman, who you talked shit about and lied about having bacterial vaginosis to? Like, who do you have in your court? You have no one but Pete, and he's dependent on you for money. He's dependent on you for housing. He's not going to serve as a credible witness. You have no one and you have nothing. And the fact that you are so confident in here actually worries me, because it gives me the impression that if you don't get your way here, you're going to go ahead and do what you need to get what you want.
Yeah, what's her face, Dee Dee or whatever. I'm not going to be talking about you, don't worry. But you have some fucking nerve. You don't even know anything that happened between us. You're just choosing to believe him. And you have really no right to comment and to beg me to get him out of jail. Fuck that. Horny old ladies in his chat defending him, sending him money. I know.
Yes, you're right that Dee Dee doesn't know and that she shouldn't be commenting on this, but I would just like to point out that you did the same thing to May. May came forward with a accusation, and you dismissed her out of hand, saying that she's a liar, she doesn't know what she's doing, that she's just making this up, she's a troll on the internet. Just pointing it out.
That's who he takes advantage. That's what the type of people that get taken advantage of, Esme. Look at people like May. Look at me. I said, oh my god, what a crazy old bat. Sitting on pee pads. Remember I said that? And that's how people were going to look at me. They're going to look at my history online. People are trying to rub it in. She's a drug user. Blah, blah, blah. Because as if that means that drug users don't get hit or abused. Or what? I don't look...
I mean, absolutely. And honestly, I think a lot of times that people who are abusing drugs tend to be in a much more vulnerable position. They tend to get taken advantage of much more often. As far as Chantal saying that, well, you know, that's who he takes advantage of is old women. You don't know if these women are old. And what do you qualify as old? You think anyone who's a couple years older than you is all of a sudden old. The fact of the matter is, Chantal, that you are no spring bud. You are an old woman yourself right now. And old is very subjective, right? I don't think like age is the only thing that defines you. But you are not like a teenager anymore who can get away with calling people old. Like I've told you guys before, my sister is like in her very early 20s right now. And she can and does call me old. And she has the right to. Because it's my life experiences set me very much so further apart from her than her life expectancy, than her life experiences do, you know? Chantal might be emotionally very young because she's done nothing and plans to do nothing with her life, but that doesn't actually make her a young person. You can't call somebody who's 5 years older than you, 10 years older than you, an old bat. A lonely old woman. It's ageist, first of all. Second of all, like, I love how Chantal loves to paint herself as the victim so that she can avoid all responsibility. You were warned. You didn't go into this with your eyes closed and like unknowing that he was that this was the kind of person that he was. Everybody warned you. Everybody warned you, and you just thought you knew better. Now you don't get to come around and say, well, he took advantage of me. You let him take advantage of you in this regard. And like, it makes me feel like I'm victim blaming her. But the fact of the matter is that you chose this path for yourself. And it sucks that he is horrible. I'm sorry for you, honey. But you don't get to put that on anybody else. There are genuinely people out there who don't have the kind of audience that you do, who don't have the kind of ability to garner information from the people watching that you do. And if they get taken advantage of, I can understand. But that's not what went down here. Everyone told you that he was the kind of guy, that he was this kind of guy. And you said, I know better. I have a better understanding of people. That's it. That's how I judge people. You know, I have my own way of judging people. I'm a good judge of character. You thought you knew better than everybody, that everyone was just being a jealous hater, when the reality of the matter is that people just know better than you. They just have more life experiences than you. That's on you.
Look like a typical abuse victim, like Mistress Rebecca said, so people are not going to find my story credible. Miss B, please address the fact that you were pressing charges because he held you against your will.
Sorry, this part I paused it a little bit late, but we'll come back to that point in a second. She said that, you know, I don't look like a typical victim. People aren't going to believe my abuse story. People don't believe you because you're a known liar. Because you're a lying liar who lies lyingly. And you lie all the time, and you lie about things that are big and small, things that are consequential and not. And I don't think she's lying about this, but you can't blame people for not believing you. You've given them no reason to believe you.
By taking your car keys, but you later said that he didn't. You had accidentally left your keys on the fridge. I don't remember exactly what I said. I'd have to watch my stream. No, Sam. He hid my keys and put them beside the fridge. Like, in a place where, like, I wouldn't find them, but, like, where they would be still considered maybe not hidden kind of thing. And if I said he didn't, I probably was lying for him at the time.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't sound at all like Chantal to, like, leave keys by the fridge. Chantal's never by the fridge. How dare you make that assumption? More importantly, it's not like Chantal has admitted to having memory problems where she could have put her keys there and forgotten. And third, you know, she's saying that, you know, I don't know what I said at the time. And, you know, if I said something else, that I'm lying. Well, you know, you've admitted to being a liar. The problem with this is that there's so many times where you've changed what happened in the story that you can no longer be believed. Did he hide the keys, or did you actually forget them by the door? Were you lying then, or are you lying now? Do you have short-term memory loss, long-term memory loss because of the drug use, or don't you? That's the problem. She just says whatever will get her out of the problem at the moment, and it has long-term consequences. There is always a reckoning for people who behave like this, and this is Chantal's. I just realized, looking in the mirror, by the way, the camera, that my lipstick is coming across very, very pink. In reality, it's actually quite neutral, and I've put like a little orange gloss on top of it, so it's like a lot warmer, but it's coming across kind of crazy on camera. I don't know. By the way, VIBs, if you're VIBs, patrons, I'm losing my marbles. Patrons who are watching this video and who watched my patrons only video, can you guys let me know if the video quality is better / if the sound quality is better? Because I do actually have a brand new lapel mic, and I wanted to see if like the sound quality and stuff had changed. Remember I was telling you guys about like a new mic? There were problems with it. I bought something else, but I want to know if like this is working any better or not.
And I mean, how many times did I literally come on and say I had to sneak out? Right from the beginning of meeting him, my story has stayed consistent. My story has always been consistent right from the beginning of meeting him. Right from the beginning of meeting him, I had to sneak out. I remember watching. I've been watching my streams.
That, unfortunately, is not evidence of him doing something, though. You saying that, yeah, I always sneak out of his house just means that you like sneaking out of his house. It doesn't actually mean that he's hit you. That's not evidence. It's not really even circumstantial of anything. I sneak out of the house when partner's sleeping, mostly because I don't want to wake him up. Because if I make too much noise, he's going to wake up and he's going to be like, oh, do you need this? Do you need that? Disturbs his sleep because he sleeps later and I don't want to wake him up. I don't want to disturb him. It doesn't mean that something salacious is happening. So I don't really know what she thinks she's proving here. This is not like some big gotcha moment, unfortunately. And unfortunately, even there, you have gone back and contradicted the reason as to why you sneak out of the house. And you've played it off as being something playful and cute and as something incredibly ominous. But because you have done that, you've muddied the waters now. People are once more going to think which utterance of this series of events is the right one. Which time is she not lying? And when people are forced to make that kind of decision, unfortunately, the burden of proof is not going to be there. That's what it really comes down to at the end, is that there's enough like mud in this water that no one can look at the situation and be like, I have the absolute facts. And that's, I mean, the biggest evidence of that is like, take a look. I've told you guys before, the two channels that I very consistently watch on Chantal are Milk Tea Reacts and Smoky Stephen Mark, okay? And all three of us have come to a slightly different conclusion based on the same set of facts. And I would say that of all of the people that I have seen, I think it's like us three and like Pulpy Syntax are like the four channels that I would say tend to align the most ideologically. And even we have had like just disagreements, not like verbally with each other, but I mean just like a difference in opinions on what we think is happening with Chantal. And we are not the jury. So if this is presented to a jury, do you think they're going to look at all of this evidence and say, yeah, I think it's enough to convict someone? No, because the burden of proof hasn't been met. You can't prove that he's guilty of anything.
It's just really too bad. Yeah, regardless of their feelings about me, anyone with a moral compass wouldn't support him, but they don't believe him. Like, I didn't believe May, you know? People who support him are going to stick with him. That's just how it goes.
All right. This is the one of her videos. I forget which one it is. Honestly, at this point, they've all sort of blurred together. She was basically just sitting in one spot, eating repetitively. And I don't think this is her flowers one, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, let me see this dress here. That's a nice color for the spring. What do you think?
Okay, I left this in because all of the colors that she shows here of dresses are all like very flesh toned. Like this is kind of flesh toned. The previous one was even more flesh toned, but like this is a little bit more like warm and corally. That one was like more flesh toned, but like corpsey. I think that wearing flesh tones for Chantal is a super bad idea because everything clings to her and it makes her look nude in a very unpleasant way. Please don't wear flesh toned. Wear the stuff that's like enough different from your natural skin tone that it can't be confused for skin. That said, I actually really like this idea. A creator that I really, really love, I mean, I really love her, is Nisi Pisa. She's incredibly hilarious, and she does these videos where she goes window shopping at Torrid, and she just basically roasts all of the clothes and stuff that they have there. But she doesn't just do it with Torrid, but she does it with a lot of things. And she will like roast all the clothes that are there. If Chantal wants to do something like that, I would actually watch that because I think that's funny as hell. And Chantal's terrible at roasting things. I feel like it could be so entertaining. And it would be a video not talking about Natter. You know, I would love that.
I'm just going to add it to the cart, like stuff that I like, and then I can decide later if I really like it.
I do the same.
I think a 4X would be good. Look at these glasses. Oh my god, I need those.
Horrible.
Don't tell me what I can and cannot buy. I know you love.
Also flesh tone.
Ow! Oh my god. Oh, my bowels. Oh, fuck.
This is the next video, by the way. This is the last video, by the way. This is the Eat With Me. And she gets like burgers and stuff in this video. The reason I left this in is I just want you guys to see the sheer quantity of food that she's eating. Because if you guys have actually seen the raw, unedited barbecue chickens video, you'll see that she actually orders KFC earlier in the video and she's like drinking gravy and all that shit. She's eating that and then she eats here again. She's eating thousands of calories, and now that she's got that little mini fridge where her soda is and her bathroom is joined to her bedroom, she has like literally no incentive to leave, especially because manservant Pete's is there to like help her move everything, you know, like help her get her food, help her get her water. She doesn't have to do or go anywhere, and she probably won't. It's very, very frightening. If you guys don't know, having an hormonal imbalance can sometimes make it significantly more likely for you to have blood clots. Now, I don't remember if it was like an increase in estrogen or a decrease in estrogen that leads to that, but Chantal's already like all out of whack when it comes to her hormones because, least we forget, Chantal's had surgery. Sorry, my arms are getting weird. They're like hurt. My shoulder hurts. But Chantal's had surgery to remove her sexual organs, hormone producing organs, right? And she is very morbidly obese, which means that if she's sitting there for long periods of time, she's at risk for blood clots. I just
want more food. But then I'm gonna try not to order anymore. She gets extra treats for going to the vets. People are like, we'll send them this video from Kiwi Farms.
I mean, is feeding her pets too. I mean, I know that in the BBJ Goes to the Vet video, she states in the original one, which I completely cut out, I think, or maybe just left a second of in there. She mentioned something along the lines of how the vet said that she's pretty small, but please don't be overfeeding your cats. Please don't be giving them treats. Like they're not necessarily good for your cats. And the problem is that a lot of time people who overeat tend to also overfeed their pets. So just keep an eye on that.
Thinking they're smart, like when she drove high. A, you have no proof I drove high. B, I'm not the one on trial. This is not a DUI trial. Like, I've been eating way too much, Joe.
Sorry, the video restarted again, so I'll just talk about what I wanted to say towards the end of that clip. You know, she talks about how she's like, oh, people from Kiwi Farms are setting things over and blah, blah, blah. I've spoken at length about how this is definitely also a trial that they're conducting on Chantal because her credibility is what's going to be used to measure whether or not he has said or done anything. So I'd be real careful. And I would agree with her, though, on what she says about this not being a DUI, like a DUI trial, which I don't think DUIs have trials. But that sending them videos of what we think might be Chantal driving drunk or driving under the influence. It isn't proof, unfortunately, unless they've actually pulled her over and gotten like a breathalyzer test or conducted like a pupil check. There is no evidence that she was driving under the influence, even though we definitely have seen her driving under at a point that she should be or could be. That's circumstantial evidence at best, and unfortunately that it won't be enough. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say on this. It ended up actually being a relatively short one. I'm surprised. I think it's because I also just recorded a video before this, speaking to patrons, talking to them about like my thoughts on like the trial of the case, my stance, where I stand, why I stand on it, and a lot of what I wanted to say I covered in that. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm probably maybe gonna see if I can film another video at some point this week. I make no promises. You guys already know it kind of sucks right now for me, so I don't know if that will happen. But thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate everyone who's here. I appreciate my patrons so much. I love you guys. I love everyone who's subscribed, even the ones who hate me. And yeah, as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A thank you to my patrons: Acrophobe, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Darkness Dust, Dainty B, Oceana Song, Sidra Z, Colleen L, Debbie E, Juju, Just a Jude, Kate O, Sonia P, and a special thank you to my $25 patrons, D Higgins and Megan O.